Watch out.
Hi. Hi. No, please don't climb over the couch. You are welcome to come hang out, but you gotta walk around it like a good girl. Go lay down.
Bramble.
Go lay down. Roxy is burrowed underneath the tree skirts back here. Hey all, it's Alirien, and welcome to our Yule tarot readings for 2023. Happy Yule! It is officially the end and beginning of the Wheel of the Year today, and it is also the winter solstice, so today will be the shortest span of daylight of the whole year and the longest night, and then starting tomorrow the days will start growing longer and the nights shorter again. Yule is a perfect time for reflecting on the year past and learning the last few lessons we have before we release everything and refresh ourselves and look toward the new year with new purpose, new energy, new life, and perhaps even new journeys, assuming we have finished everything that we started in this year. Yule is more akin to a new year than a Christmas, but honestly, both holidays have so much similar sentiment and a lot of the same important sentiments that it makes sense that they've been lumped together and celebrated at the same time for so long. For this round of our Yule Tarot, I will be using the Alirien Tarot to do our 3-card main spread plus the bottom card of the deck. It's a very large deck of cards. I'm gonna struggle with shuffling this one, but I will do my best. And it's a very eclectic deck. It's the entire purpose of it is to be eclectic. And for the oracular component, originally I was gonna do the Yes/No Tarot, or the Yes/No Oracle. It quite literally is essentially a magic 8-ball in card form. Without having individual querents to answer questions for, it didn't quite make sense. I tried it last year and it just, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't work as well. So we are skipping that one and we are gonna do the Druid Animal Oracle deck instead for our single Oracle card component. So we're, as usual, following the same format we normally use. 3 cards plus the bottom from a Waite-Smith style tarot and 1 card from an oracle. As today is the 21st of December, technically Capricorn season starts tomorrow, so we will be starting with Sagittarius since we are still in the last throes of Sagittarius season, and we will be ending with Scorpio. You can find the exact time codes for the chapters along the timeline and in the description below. If you want to skip straight to the signs you know you have in your birth chart, but I do encourage you to watch through the others and see if one of the other readings works better for you. As always with all of my tarot reading videos, I encourage you to first and foremost, above all else, take what resonates. In spite of whether the sign is anywhere in your chart, and in spite of if a reading speaks deeply and personally to a situation you are going through, it is meant for you regardless of all other factors. And the same goes for the timing. Even though I intend these for the season of Yule, if you find this later and one of these readings really speaks to your situation and the things you are going through, it's intended for you at that time through whatever lens it may be presented. All of that said, let's go ahead and shuffle, and we'll start with Sagittarius. Wow, Sagittarius has 3 cards all jumped at once. Sagittarius has pulled the Inverted Magician as the bottom card, the 6 of Cups, the inverted letter, and Giuseppe, which is in reverse, but technically this card does not have a reverse. Explain that in a second. Your Oracle card is the Inverted Sow. The Inverted Magician as your main theme and focus for this reflective time of Yule is some sort of lack in terms of balance, control, and mastery. Some aspect of your life is starting to teeter and lose balance and risk falling apart, and you need to figure out what part of your life this is and address that. To help you further figure out what section of your life that might be and how to address it, the 6 of Cups is pure joy and fun with no caveats, no rules. And it's a reminder that there is a significant difference between innocence and youth. Just because someone is having a bunch of innocent fun doesn't mean they're immature. So there is a distinct difference here, and you need to make sure that you are seeing that line and distinguishing one from the other clearly. The inverted letter suggests a significant lack of communication regarding this area, and that's probably why things are falling out of your control and out of your grasp. It could be on your end, you might be failing to communicate and you might be taking things a little too seriously, I think is ultimately what the Six of Cups is saying, or someone else isn't communicating or isn't taking things seriously enough. Giuseppe is a card of pure potential. There's so many cards in this deck. It represents the blooming of possibility and friendship. And it also suggests to draw 3 more cards. And if they don't bring you happiness, put them back and try it again. So I will draw 3 more cards. We'll see what pops out of the deck as I keep shuffling here. It's one of the deck cards. And since I cannot gauge through the video what will make you happy or not, we will just see what these have in store as far as a bit more of an in-depth look at this potential and possibility. You've pulled Writing Death, which reminds you that things could change anytime. Try not to be too attached to anything, particularly any outcomes, but it's also reminding you to make sure you are loving and appreciating everything you have while you have it. As if you take something too much for granted, it may be stripped from you and you'll be lost. The Nine of Swords here is mostly about recognizing the sorrow or other very severe, unfortunate emotions that you are dealing with as part of this situation. It is telling you that probably the only solution is to let time pass and know that it will heal with time, but that is also the reassurance, is that give it time and things will be better, even, no matter how bad they feel right now. The hole merely indicates that something is missing, and it's really only on you to figure out what's missing and where it needs to go. The inverted sow first indicates that you may need to reconsider your own vision and understanding of yourself. Make sure you're not thinking too highly of yourself and becoming arrogant and narcissistic, but you also shouldn't be thinking so lowly of yourself that you're not giving yourself enough credit or stunting yourself in your projects and your relationships and so on. Inverted, she also represents greed and piggish ignorance and a need to work towards a greater understanding of the subtleties of life in general. She also recommends judging people or propositions and situations on the true merits and intrinsic worth rather than any sort of outward appearance. Be wary of anything that is not what it seems. All of that said, I think Giuseppe is the important thing here, the most important thing here, Sagittarius. There's a lot of potential still with your current situation, and you need only address and recognize and be aware of the other smaller issues going on and address them in order to reestablish a balance and take hold of all of that potential and possibility. Capricorn's Yule reading is the Five of Swords as the bottom of the deck, the Sun, the inverted Queen of Bombs, the inverted Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Wands. Your Druid is the inverted Cat. The Five of Swords indicates a victory at some sort of lofty cost. You, at some point, were overambitious, and you're starting to feel the adverse effects of such. And unfortunately, it's just something you're gonna have to work through and process, and it sucks and it hurts, but not all is lost. You have the Sun. It's pure happiness and joy, success. It's even a new beginning. And so in spite of whatever loss, there is good in this, and there is good in front of you. You just have to be ready to take hold of it and bask in it and enjoy it. The inverted Queen of Bombs indicates pure apathy, even annihilation, and the cold sort of solace that you can get with apathy. I think perhaps it is indicating maybe your reaction to this situation. It may be a means of coping for now until you're ready to process it, but know that at some point you're going to have to come out of that apathetic state and deal with all facets of the consequences of your victory. The inverted Knight of Cups is a suggestion of essentially a fair weather friend, some person or entity that claims it's gonna be there for you, but it's never going to be permanent. It's never actually gonna be as stalwart as it seems, and eventually whoever this Knight of Cups is going to leave. And the Knight of Wands, however, is representative of power, passion, and excitement. It's the energy, the pure energy of the fires of passion and creativity. If you're ready to take hold of that, along with the sun, which the sun itself is a pure ball of fire, so it's fitting, you will be able to overcome your challenges with these in mind. If you're not, you might be stuck in some sort of situation where you're having to prioritize things you don't care about, you don't want to do. You have these fantastic ideas, but you don't have the platform to achieve them. I think there's some sort of a mismatch of situations here, in that on one hand there are good things going because some sort of path has finally opened up for you and you've got time and energy to do something, but you're still kind of stuck in your current situation, and even if you take hold of those things, you're perhaps still reeling from what was left behind in order to get to this point, and you're maybe still wondering what other consequences or unfortunate scenarios might be lingering in your life that could still pose problems. The inverted cat adds to this with the sentiment that you need to be wary of trying so hard to escape your situation, however literally or figuratively, that you end up withdrawing from the world completely. It's a sort of, it's warning against letting this apathy that I think you're dealing with right now become complacent and all you can do. You are as much a part of this world as everybody else, and you need to be aware of everything going on in it, however good or bad, because you affect it on some level and it affects you. However large or small that may manifest. This could be terms of you needing to reinsert yourself into conversations and interactions with friends and family or your neighborhood. This could be something bigger where you're encouraged to go out into the world and see new places and gain new understanding of things going on elsewhere with other people. Regardless, I think right now Capricorn's main reflection is understanding that the natural ambition you have as a Capricorn, while not always a bad thing, does have its drawbacks and its consequences if followed incorrectly. And you need to both process the ones that you maybe have brought about yourself in your journey, but also be wary and prepared for those consequences should they occur in the future. That said, there is, like with Sagittarius, a lot of potential and good ahead of you. You just need to be open and ready to take that path and receive that potential and run with it, and just be ready for any and all consequences that lie ahead of you. Walk that sort of fine balance of ambition and care for the rest of the people that might be involved in that ambitious path. Aquarius has drawn the inverted Queen of Wands, the inverted King of Cups, the inverted Eight of Pentacles, the Knight of Rings, and the inverted Boar. Ultimately, I think Aquarius has been, to put it very plainly, falling into a pattern of selfishness and complacency. The Queen of Wands indicates cruelty and a capricious nature, someone who doesn't care who gets burned as she marches forward, letting the fire go. The King of Cups is someone just sitting, waiting for somebody else to come along and, take care of things for him, rather than doing anything for anybody else in order order to be able to get back from any of those people. Inverted Eight of Pentacles is overindulgence in vices and indulgences to a point where you are now victimizing yourself and over beholden to these things. You've gotten into a pattern where if you don't stop now, you might not be able to break it. The Knight of Rings is your sort of light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, in that it represents someone who is available for you to lean on as you work through these issues and come back to a better version of yourself. It also represents the patience and the persistence that will be needed from yourself and this other person in order for you to come back to a better version of yourself. The inverted boar further indicates a potential need for some aspect of your life to experience a breakdown in order for there to be a breakthrough and allow you to reach a better, deeper understanding of this aspect of your life and some situation within it, and thus be able to move forward again. So for Yule, some serious introspection, patience, persistence to build back out of the hole you've been getting into. Pisces Yule reading consists of the inverted Nine of Swords, the Ace of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and the inverted Queen of Pentacles. Your oracle card is the inverted Eagle. Ultimately, Pisces is in a situation where you are going to have to make the choice to walk away from something painful. And as painful as it may be to walk away from whatever it is that is currently hurting you, it will ultimately hurt worse in the long run if you stay and continue to let yourself be trapped for the sake of being where you're comfortable. That said, there's a lot of good things right in front of you, Pisces, and walking away from this is all you need to do to move all of this forward. The Ace of Cups indicates some sort of new beginning, a new relationship, a new emotional fresh start for you in some way, and it asks you to consider what new thing has come along that this could be connected to. Whatever that is, it's a very, very good thing right now. As along with that is the Page of Pentacles, which says that you are experiencing or about to experience the beginnings of a true material, tangible stability in terms of home or money or career or something along those lines. There's a foundation being laid, and there is so much possibility and potential for the plan that you have being allowed to develop and grow and get ever stronger and bigger as you move forward. There are two things you are being warned of. One is the inverted Queen of Pentacles, which wants you to be cautious of, as this stability grows and your resources grow, don't become so attached to them that you become greedy and start to become selfish with them. You also, with the inverted eagle, want to be careful to maintain a balance between your head and your heart. You need to consider everything logically and with a sound mind, but you also need to be aware of the emotional aspect of every situation as well, and consider the both together as you make decisions and continue moving forward. You cannot truly function and succeed and be whole as a person if you are driven solely by your logic and your intellect. Your heart needs a say too. Aries, your Yule reading has pulled inverted Father Sleep, the Battle, inverted Fear, the Page of Wands, and the Hare. Aries, you are potentially nearing the end of some path or journey, and it being Yule is a key time for this sort of thing. It is in and of itself the ending of one year and the beginning of the next. You are very, very close, but for whatever reason, circumstances in your life and potentially some higher power, some other individual, maybe someone you work for, someone you view as an authority. It could be something as overarching as life itself, seems to be trying to tell you that this thing is over and it's time to walk away from it. You know deep down, and you are being reassured right now that it's not over. There is still something left to do, and you are encouraged to fight against and continue on in spite of every voice telling you otherwise. The battle further encourages this and signifies that there is one last fight to have along this path. There is still a fight to go through. And the important thing to remember is that the outcome and who wins this fight, whatever the victory is not the important part. The important part is that you went through the battle at all, and going through it is meant to make you stronger. Regardless of how this ends or when this ends, you need to go through these experiences to be better and stronger and smarter and ready for something that lies ahead. Inverted fear is reassuring you that any fears or obstacles you are encountering are small and insignificant and should not be worried about. They're not as scary as they're seeming to you. The cobweb brings to mind the spider, but it itself is not the spider and can simply be brushed aside for you to continue on. That's the analogy that's presented. Page of Wands, it is a fearlessness and an energy and a drive to keep going. It is the sort of energy that you find in an eager beginner. And while you might not be at the beginning of the path, you are potentially at the end. You are meant to proceed forward through this next phase with the same energy and drive and internal fire that you would have if you were just starting out. Within all of that, keep in mind, from the hair, you should maintain balance and be as adaptable as you can to circumstances. Don't let yourself be thrown off by every obstacle. Stop long enough to consider the best way to go around and adapt as best you can to get through that obstacle to keep going. There is still a fight to have. Whatever you're working toward, whatever path you are on is not over yet. Taurus, your reading has also pulled the inverted Father Sleep at the bottom of the deck. You have the inverted Queen of Wands, the white and black candle, and the Chariot, and your oracle card is the inverted Owl. Father Sleep, just like with Aries, indicates to you something is not quite over yet, but you are close. The Queen of Wands warns against being pushy, selfish, capricious, cruel, and similar to Aquarius, burning your way through your path and not caring who else might be in the way. The candle urges you to recognize the rituals you have in your life, whether it's the small day-to-day minutia, getting up, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, having breakfast, having coffee, driving to work, or the bigger, more important rituals like your family's traditions for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever else you celebrate at this time of year. Whatever things you have in your life that would constitute a regular ritual, consider what these are and what they mean for you and how they affect you. The Chariot is the main card that is indicating that you are close to the end. It is the hero coming home from victory and being cheered on and venerated, and it's urging you that regardless of how long it's taken you to get through this, and regardless of the fact that you're not quite done, you should still feel proud of having gotten through this. Be careful not to become bitter, and be careful not to let everything go to your head and start gloating and boasting and being an ass about it. The inverted owl also warns you not to withdraw too much from the world. There is a strength to be found in someone who can detach and be discerning, but what was the wording? But when it becomes a defense that prevents you from living your life to the fullest and against necessary vulnerability with the people who are closest to you, that's when it becomes a flaw rather than a strength. And you need to understand that you may not need to hold back quite so much as you perhaps have been doing so far. I think that may be ultimately what the Queen of Wands is also suggesting, is that you've been in a stance of self-protection that's been too strong. And I think that may be starting to cause a breakdown of some relationships, or perhaps your own perspective on things around you. Be wary of these couple of things, how you are acting toward yourself and others, how connected you are with the world around you, and that includes these rituals. I think ultimately rituals you have that involve other people are the main focus here, but no, you are so close to the end. You're not quite done yet, but you're getting there. And just like with Aries, having been through all of this and completing the path is more important than whether or not you win whatever your goal has been. Gemini, you have had several extra cards jump. When I was trying to draw your third card for the main spread, 2 extras came out along with it, and you had a second oracle. We're gonna roll with it because all of this makes sense together and all points to one major theme. The bottom card of the deck for you is the Wound Man in reverse. You've also pulled the Hanged Man, the Six of Swords, the Inverted Alley, the Inverted Thing Among Reflections, and the Inverted Star. And your oracle cards are both inverted as well, the Stag and the Bull. The Wound Man points to, quite literally, you having been wounded and hurt in some way. These wounds have been inflicted with seemingly no real purpose, and there's absolutely no catharsis in the infliction or the pain thereafter. And your main focus right now is on healing and recovery, and that must be your main focus, particularly with how many of these cards all kind of point to that. The Hanged Man suggests and refers to the wisdom that comes with patience in the face of setbacks and obstacles. It also indicates a need for a new perspective. Six of Swords indicates a difficult journey ahead of you to take you out of what is comfortable and what is known into and through incredibly uncomfortable and unknown things in order to reach something better. You've been through something very hard, and as part of your recovery, you're gonna have to go through more that is hard and potentially harder than what you've already been through. But ultimately, it will have been worth it. And I think a lot of this is going to be introspective. The Inverted Alley is abandonment and the truest sense, the truest version of being completely alone. The Thing of Among Reflections inverted is trauma, anxiety, and being lost in concepts and thoughts of who you are. It's essentially an identity crisis and all of the anxiety that comes with that. The Inverted Star is a significant lack of hope and positivity. Inverted Stag and Inverted Bull indicate a need to be wary of your pride and your stubbornness, preventing you from moving forward. There's also a lack of motivation potentially with the Bull. You have been significantly hurt, Gemini, in some way, and what you are called to do right now for Yule as we move into a new wheel of the year and a new calendrical year is to focus on coming to terms with yourself, with who you are now that you've been through this, and being able to accept who you are and move forward and work through all of the issues, particularly on a very deep internal, emotional, personal level. All of the effects that what you've been through has had on yourself and your psyche. Being okay with the fact that you are probably irrevocably changed by what you've been through. Accepting that you've changed, but hopefully for the better, because having survived what you went through means you must be stronger in some sense. And you are not lost or broken just because you've grown into a different person than you used to be. Serious introspection, some would even call it shadow work, but ultimately this is a conversation and a journey that you need to have with yourself. Cancer, your Yule reading is the Inverted Six of Pentacles, the Inverted Six of Wands, the Inverted Knight of Wands, the Night Owl, and the Inverted Empty. Your oracle is the Hind. Inverted Six of Pentacles points to abuse of generosity, ulterior motives, false friends, and general selfishness. This could even be a card of pure corporate greed and the consumerism that comes with it. The Inverted Six of Wands is false or empty victory and obsession with victory and the arrogance along with that. Knight of Wands is too much energy going in all the wrong directions and a lack of integrity. The Night Owl says that you know what the problem is and what needs to be done to fix it, and you're just not doing it. You're not admitting it, you're not facing it. And that alone is the first problem that needs to be addressed. You know it needs to be done and you're refusing to do it. With that, the Inverted Empty points to some sort of missed opportunity. I think perhaps what's happening here is if you don't address these issues, if you don't face the harsh truth that you've been avoiding and address these things that are part of this situation that's at this point been going on too long, there's a significant opportunity that probably will be missed. While you may never know one way or the other if this doesn't get addressed and this doesn't get taken, I think the suggestion is that things could be better in the long run if you can take this. Regardless of this though, all of this seriously needs to be addressed. And the Hind is a card of subtlety and gracefulness. And I think those are two qualities that you need to embrace wholeheartedly as firmly as you can to navigate this, admit to this, and ultimately let you have this opportunity. Leo has also ended up with a big reading, partly because you, like Sagittarius, have pulled the Giuseppe card, and actually 2 of the 3 extra cards for Giuseppe jumped out with him, so I just had to pull 1 more, but I've already gone ahead and pulled those. You have the 7 of Wands, the inverted King of Coins, the inverted Bloody Death, Giuseppe, who has no reversal, 2 of Wands, Wound Man, inverted 6 of Cups. Your oracle card is the Hare. The 7 of Wands as your bottom card and your main theme is trying to remind you of the power you have within your own voice and just how capable you are of standing up and defending yourself in the face of detractors and antagonists. That said, the inverted King of Coins indicates a level of greed and corruption and a loss of grip. You've lost track of where things actually sit. It also indicates a selfishness in the way of only wanting one's own success and not caring if others succeed or not. Perhaps even wishing for the failure of others, which in itself becomes hypocritical. The inverted Bloody Death is pointing out that some sort of pain or bad situation that you have been in has been allowed to go on too long, in part by yourself. So whether or not you initially caused the situation, you've allowed it to go on long enough that now it is inherently also your fault, even if you were not at fault to begin with. I think perhaps you got caught up in something, and rather than taking the high road and sticking to your integrity and your values, you lost grip of yourself and of the situation, and now it's been stewing and worsening, even though you have all of the power and the say to be able to fix it. That said, there is still the potential of fixing this. Giuseppe is pure potential and possibility. It is the kinetic energy. There is still a way forward. The 2 of Wands indicates a serious need for planning before starting down a path or a new journey. The first thing that needs to be done is start thinking about and planning all of the steps forward that you need to take to fix this. Wound Man further implicates some sort of hurt, some sort of injury that has been inflicted upon you by others, which is why I think that while you alone might not have caused this situation, you've allowed it to happen. You've almost been a bystander to your own pain here. So an injury has been inflicted upon you, however physically or mentally it might have manifested, but you are on the road to recovery. And in fact, coming across this video and getting this reading is part of the beginnings of you realizing that this needs to stop, and the only way it stops is me. I'm the one who needs to fix this. So you're starting to recover, and that's good. As part of this recovery, there's growing up and maturing that needs to happen. There's something that is associated with a younger, more innocent or more immature version of you that it's time to let go of. And it's perhaps because of this trait from a more childish version of you that you allowed things to get to where they were. Essentially, I think there's a level of pettiness that has allowed everything to get to this point, and in forcing yourself to grow up a little bit and be more mature moving forward, that will help you resolve everything else. The Hare further stresses adaptability and a need through this process, through this recovery, through fixing this situation. There will be some self-transformation involved that ultimately will help you come out all the better for it. Virgo, you have drawn the inverted Misery, the 7 of Pentacles, the High Priestess, the inverted Lone and Level Sands, had to double check the exact title on that one, and the Frog. The Misery card, it's misery one way or the other, regardless of which way it's turned, but each version is 2 sides of the same coin, essentially, where inverted, the misery is coming to a close and something is going to be resolved in the near future if it is not resolving right now. In that, the 7 of Pentacles indicates hard work starting to come to fruition. You're starting to see the reward that you have worked for and whatever ending you've been working toward. And while it's not quite over yet, it will be coming to a close soon. And so you've reached a point where you can start to be proud of yourself and the work you've put in and revel in the reward as it's coming to you. The High Priestess is divine knowledge and intuition and reminds you to think very clearly and carefully about situations before you move forward into them, and always be listening to and considering your intuition and your inner voice in making those decisions and taking those steps. The Lone and Level Sands refers to some sort of fall almost into glory. It's the concept of failing forward. There's some sort of fall or misstep that has occurred, and you're already in the free fall. You can't stop that now. You can't stop yourself from coming into whatever the result of this will be, but the result ultimately will be a good one, because when the crash occurs, there will be some sort of revelation, and that will redefine a foundation for you, and you are meant to embrace that and move forward better for having found that. And the Frog is a card of healing and sensitivity. It's a reminder to be sensitive to the feelings and the needs of others and try to be a healing force for those others as well as yourself as you deal with all this, and a reminder to look for and appreciate the hidden beauty and power that is all around you in day-to-day minutiae, all of the mundane things that you see on a daily basis, and especially any of the aspects of nature that you're able to connect with throughout your life. Libra has drawn for Yule the inverted fountain, the inverted two of discs, the alley, bonfire, as well as the horse from the oracle deck. The inverted fountain, as your main focus here, is indicating that in some way, in moments when you were in need and were needing comfort, rejuvenation, and relief in some way, someone's offer or what someone gave to you in that moment that they indicated was supposed to help did absolutely nothing. It was a false promise. It was, it's being parched in the desert and someone hands you a canteen with like 5 drops of water left in it. It's that sort of sense. It's not to say that your suffering was caused by this other person, but some person or entity or situation in your life proved far less helpful than it claimed to be. And as such, there's an outcome that you've been disappointed by, and understandably so. If you had any hand in the outcome being what it was, you were not the only one involved in this, clearly. Perhaps you were sold something and it was oversold to you, and thus here you are now. Ultimately, it's a poor outcome, and it's an outcome that is less than what it was chalked up as. The alley and bonfire and the horse are your way out of this situation. They are your way forward. The alley points to comfort. It is your home. It is your real friends. It is your real family. It is all of the things that you can turn to actually find relief and respite and start to recover and heal. Bonfire is essentially a self-transformation. It's almost a self-imposed phoenix moment that needs to happen, where because of this situation, you now need to examine things in your life and cut away everything that is holding you back, everything that claims to be good and helpful to you, but in fact is at best doing nothing and at worst actually hurting you. It's almost a sense of minimalism. It's more of a sense of essentialism, where you are meant to move forward, go through this process, this introspection, and move forward with only that which is necessary and actually makes you happy and content and comfortable and helps you achieve everything that you need, not just for yourself, but for the people that you truly love and care about. The horse further solidifies the idea of a bit of a personal journey that needs to happen here. It not only to recover from this situation where you got burned, but also to potentially redefine or reassert, if it turns out that you still want the same goal, your goals and your values. Make sure they're still what you initially had set out in the first place. It's very much a card of travel, and it indicates, it's a reference back to Epona, the Celtic goddess of horses and several other things. She is also a representation of the circle of life, to quote Lion King on that one, and needing an understanding and appreciation for all facets and points along the circle in order to be a more whole person and have a wiser understanding moving forward. But ultimately it's a card of travel. It may be as literal as you needing to take a vacation somewhere, get away for a little bit so that you can get your mind off of it and come back with a fresh mind, fresh eyes. Or it could be the more philosophical, metaphysical meaning of you needing to take this sort of personal journey to go back to everything that actually nourishes you and cut away everything that is holding you back, weighing you down, and perhaps even hurting you as you continue to move forward with it. Finally, we have Scorpio, who has pulled the inverted hawk moth, the inverted bloody death, the hermit, death by fire, and the inverted water dragon. The inverted hawk moth signifies that your main focus and your main issue is an anxiety over the unknown, over not knowing what will come next, and not having complete certainty over the path ahead of you. With that, there has come too much, you're overstressing over the fact that you don't know what lies ahead and you don't know everything that's going to happen. And that is causing a bit of isolation as well, which is what ultimately is hurting you right now. You're overstressing yourself and you're losing touch and connection with the people around you who care about you and who could help you through this. And that isolation is going to cause further harm. Bloody Death inverted tells you that you're letting a situation that is painful to you go on for too long. Even if it wasn't your fault that you got in this situation to begin with, it is now your fault that you linger here. You have every opportunity and every ounce of power to turn this around, and you're not. The Hermit is self-introspection and an internal journey to better understand oneself, sure, but it's also, in this case, it is warning against being so isolated that you lose touch with your friends and your family. Death by fire indicates that something in dealing with all of this and coming to this better understanding and moving forward, something in your life is going to be entirely burned away. It's not just a letting go, it is a loss of something. And that loss may be painful, but it is ultimately for the better. Water Dragon inverted, like the Hermit. It is a card of passion, depth, and connection, and it ultimately is warning you to handle this journey with your own psyche, this introspection, with caution. Be careful how hard you are on yourself, and again, bolstering what the Hermit is warning and what the whole reading is for, be careful how long you spend cut off from everyone else around you. And with Scorpio, that completes our 12 readings for the 12 Western zodiac signs for the season of Yule. As mentioned at the beginning, these do cover the span of time between the 21st of December and the 1st of February. But again, take what resonates. That's the important part. I hope you've all found whatever guidance or advice or comfort you may have needed as we move forward with the changing of the year, both at Yule and at the civilian New Year. And I wish you all a wonderful Yule, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, again, because it is Yule, these are the only few videos where I'll do it, and then I'll shut up about it for the rest of the year. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to click the like button below. And if you want to stay up to date on all my videos as they post, make sure you click subscribe and click that bell button as well, and turn on all notifications. That way you'll never miss a thing. If you'd like to see more tarot reading content, I have a playlist linked in the cards and in the description of all of the tarot readings I've done on this channel so far. And you'll also find my DIY playlist linked, where I made a bunch of wreaths for the Sabbats a couple of years ago. And starting with the eggnog video from last Saturday, I'm starting to do recipes for each of the celebrations. So if you too would be interested in making some eggnog to celebrate Yule and get all of the wonderful benefits that the ingredients provide for such a thing, be sure to check out my video. If you've been following me here for a while and would like to see what other shenanigans I'm up to on other social media planes, you can find my link tree below in the description as well, with links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as my shop and my Rumble and my Patreon. Speaking of, I would like to give a huge thankful shout out to my amazing, fantastic, spectacular coven of patrons who continue to be the most pivotal in helping this content be bigger and better every time. And we will soon have a Twitch coven joining them as well. If you would like to join the Patreon ranks, check the link below for my Patreon. Pledges start at $1 a month, and higher level tiers do get extra perks such as voting on things to do with my content. Stay tuned for my YuleVlog series starting uploads tomorrow. Literally the day you're watching this, I'm filming the first one, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Sooner than normal. Happy Yule, and keep aiming, my loves. Mwah! Bye, y'all.